So while you're doing that, let me start with Brij. Brij, take a minute to tell us what kind of companies you invested so far, and also just very briefly sum up year 2022 for you. What kind of year it was for you from investment point of view?
Sure. Thanks, Rajesh, and thank you so much for the Kerala Startup Mission for inviting me to this event. I'll just give a brief intro on Rebright Partners. We are an early stage technology fund backed primarily by Japanese large corporates who are interested in investing in emerging markets, in India in particular. We typically invest at the seed stage, so about $1 million plus minus, and generally invest in core sectors and B2B companies. So what I mean by that is sectors like healthcare, mobility, logistics, enterprise software, education, agri-tech. These are our focus areas. Some of the notable investments that we have done is our portfolio company called MediBuddy, which is a telemedicine startup based in Bangalore. We led the seed round, and that's a common investment with GSF. They were incubated out of GSF. Another healthcare startup called Medica Bazaar, which is a B2B medical supplies startup. Let's Transport, which is last mile logistics. That's a common investment with Tejo here. And we've done multiple other investments in enterprise software, SaaS, agri-tech as well. For us, 2022 was an interesting year. Pretty earlier on, we started to hear of the headwinds coming into the market, and we'd already started preparing our portfolio to kind of plan for that and engage for that. And a large part of our focus was to actually help our portfolio companies raise their next rounds, say follow-on rounds and up rounds. So we have about 20 portfolio companies in India, and out of that, 5 of them have raised their follow-on rounds this year. And to give you another sense, we're a much more concentrated portfolio investor. So even though we invest at seed stage, we don't create a large portfolio to manage. Within our portfolio, we typically double down significantly. So if our initial check size is $1 million, in our late stage companies, like some of the ones that I mentioned, we're already put in 4 or 5 million, right? So that's the amount of reserve capital that we keep in. And that was essentially our focus, right? Get these companies enough capital, have them ready for the next 2 years, which we are seeing globally and also a little bit in India, especially on the startup side, that there is a little bit of a winter coming. So that's essentially was our focus.
And Brij has a special relationship with Kerala. His wife is from Kerala. So ये आप लोगों का दामाद है.
Thank you. She's from Tiruvilla.
Excellent. So Tej is a dear friend and very prolific investor as an angel, but he also was with Fosun, led many investments there, and has recently joined IvyCap. So similar question to you, Tej. Tell us what you've been doing in 2022 and give us a sense of your investment thesis.
Hello. First of all, I want to start by saying thank you to Rajesh, and asli damad aap lag rahe ho in the dhoti, but it's amazing. I think, yeah, amazing. One more clap, round of claps.
This dhoti is made by a Tamil Nadu company, and they innovated. They have a pocket here.
Wow.
It has a Velcro for amateurs like me. And this is just to say that it's got maximum market share in Kerala. So in your market, a Tamilian company has come, right? So innovation can create entrepreneurship.
Yes, amazing. And also, thanks to Rajesh, this is my first time to be in Kerala, God's own country. And I could see the beauty of Kerala from the time I landed at the airport to this beautiful property, and number of startups yesterday I saw outside. It was just incredible. So congratulations to you guys. Yeah, coming to your question, and Rajesh and I, obviously he has way more experience and decades more experience than me. But just going back, 2020, I had never seen a year like that, because we have seen many down cycles, but that was like a crazy up cycle, which is an anomaly. And I think it was like a watershed moment for the entire startup ecosystem. And I think the last year after that was this year, 2022 was a year of realization. कि हवा में सब कुछ नहीं उड़ता, काम करना पड़ेगा, right? So I think this year was काम करना पड़ेगा year, and lot of companies which were, which ballooned in terms of employee cost, in terms of marketing spends, asli dhanda, that feeling has come this year, and I think we have an operator in the room, so he can obviously describe it more. But I see a maturing of an ecosystem where both investors and entrepreneurs, tech entrepreneurs, realize that aise kaam nahi chalega. Valuation is not everything. Value creation is everything. If you are not creating value, sooner or later you'll be out of market. And nobody wants to do layoff in their company. Nobody wants to cut down on staff. Everyone likes to expand. The macro factors are still in our favor, but I think this realization year was very, very important. And that's the year of realization is how I will put as 2022.
Yes, year of realization 2022, year of exaggerated enthusiasm, year of 2021. So it's a very good time to reflect and think about 2023. We'll do that. But let me introduce to you two very dear friends of mine and very different kind of entrepreneurs. So Vaibhav is a doctor who turned into an entrepreneur, right? Normally we associate tech entrepreneurship with engineers and IITians and all of that. He's none of that, and he's built a unicorn. So I want to request you to talk a little bit about your early journey and tell us about what you do.
Right. So I belong to Ludhiana. Ludhiana is a small town in Punjab. My parents are, of course, doctors. So the trend, the doctor dad, doctor son. So I went on to become a doctor. So post my medical education, I had two options. One was, of course, I go back to Ludhiana. Since my dad had been practicing there for long, he had his connects there. So he said, we'll be able to set your practice easily. So come to Ludhiana. But generally, you are young, you are high on ego. You say, you want to do it on your own. So I stayed back in Gurgaon. So the advantage of, staying back in Gurgaon was, there I met a lot of entrepreneurs, and probably a lot like you people who were either starting or sort of running a small, or a mid-sized startups. And that's when, these questions of problem solve karte hain. How do we probably reach 1 million customers? How do we sort of reach somebody who's 10,000 kilometers away from you and service them? So, those discussions sort of came up, and that rubs on you as well. So, a typical medical or a doctor mindset is ki probably if I'm practicing in this area, I'll serve 10-kilometer radius. Patients can come to me from 10, 15 kilometers and I can, probably make them well. But now that thing, how do I connect to sort of somebody who's probably 1,000 kilometers away from where I'm practicing? So that's how the journey of Pristyn began. And so I'm a surgeon. Even before when I started Pristyn, I would have done close to 5,000-7,000 surgeries myself, right? Whether it was in the government sector or it was in the private sector or corporate sector. So I think as a surgeon or as a doctor, I understood the patient concerns really well, right? Because I was dealing with them day in and day out. What do they actually need? So I think the biggest learning for me has been, as a founder, you have to identify the real problem, right? Many times, we as founders think ye problem hogi and we make up a problem rather than identifying a real problem which is somewhere around you but which we can't see. So I think the biggest learning for us has been you identify a real problem, and as a surgeon we were able to realize what the problem is, right? The world was changing around us. In the morning if you want groceries, there are startups which will deliver grocery in 10 minutes. Right, you have to go to your office or you have to go to your work, you can use a Uber, Ola. You want to order food, you have Swiggy, Zomatos of the world. Right, you want to order clothes, you probably go to Amazon, Myntra. So, and it was not just for rich people, it was for even common man, middle class, lower middle class as well. So we realized that everyone was looking at convenience. And that convenience was missing in healthcare. So that was when we said, okay, we will bring convenience to healthcare. So that was our first motive, that let us ensure that patients who are coming in for surgery, their experience goes at least 10x or 20x above than what is currently happening, right? So that was our first aim. And of course, then we also understood the problems of doctors and problems of hospitals. And that's how the concept of Pristyn started. Yeah, so that was how we actually, sort of began our first thing, yeah.
Awesome. We'll talk more about it.
Just one thing I want to add. So Vaibhav and I are not cousins, but before his startup, he operated on my mom.
Yeah.
That was the first journey of the startup.
So his mom, I operated on his mom, but before,
Before you became entrepreneur, right? Wonderful. Yeah. So I want to request people sitting at the back to come up front, right? We want to see you and talk to you. Guys, come up front, come up front. Especially this gentleman in blue shirt who's talking animatedly, the wonderful lady. Both of you, if you can come up front. Come, don't be shy. You know who I'm talking about. Aajo. Ask us some questions. Anyways. Get the best out of this session. We have wonderful panelists here. We'll make it very interactive very soon. You can ask them questions. So, settle down. So now I want to talk to Roma a bit. Roma and I go back over 10 years. My investing career coincides with her legal career. Yeah. And when I did almost my first investment, she handled it. Yeah. And I've done 130 investments since then. Primarily, most of them Roma has done. But Roma has done over 1,000 deals probably. Yeah. 10x of what I have given to her. And she is now evolved into one of the best known startup legal firm. Her firm is called Burgeon. So here is an entrepreneur who started as a lawyer and now has become, in the last 10 years, with the rise of startup ecosystem, the leading law firm. How many people you have? Tell us about your firm.
Yeah, so I think before I speak about the firm, thank you so much for having us here. It's so amazing to see that, startups are now not just in metros, they are also coming from different parts of India and different states, right? I really feel that entrepreneurship is seeping, entrepreneurship seeps deep in Indians, and I think the next 10 years will be very interesting. So it's been lovely being here. Before I answer your question, Rajesh, of where we are right now and what we do, I think I relate so much to what Vaibhav said. I come from a family of lawyers, 30 lawyers in my family. Pretty much only saw litigation growing up. So libraries and, briefs and clients and claims, and, pretty much didn't apply my mind and went to law school, came out of it knowing that I'm not really a lawyer. So I don't relate and I don't see myself going to court and enjoying that as much. So first year just got placed from college. Somehow in my second year, I started working for a firm that was just delving into, venture capital work, which was pretty much not done in that time, right? So I'm talking about 2011, when most law firms in the country didn't look at it as a space. Most people did not understand why someone would give you money and not, have a mortgage or interest or security attached to it. How did it make any sense, right? Nobody understood why I chose it. And then I met Rajesh, who was my first prominent client who I handled. And I was an associate at the firm, but I just loved the whole thing that he was doing. Like, I felt so passionate about, entrepreneurship. And through, I think GSF was probably the first couple of years, my gateway to the innovation world, where I saw that people were building things that I had not. I remember in 2011, we had a company, I still remember, it was called HUDDLE, and they were building this payment solution which you could swipe on your phone, which was like unheard of at that point of time, which today I think nobody even thinks, right? Like, these are just become obvious things in our life today, but innovation has made that possible. So I think it was so interesting. In my, first 3-4 years working closely with startups, meeting hundreds of founders, hearing them pitch their ideas, I was just like, I have to be an entrepreneur. I don't think I'm a lawyer. I should quit and I should, become an entrepreneur. And I basically was brainstorming on multiple ideas. There was a juicing idea where Rajesh was involved. There was a couple of more ideas, but I was like, law is something that I'm, professionally educated in. I don't have to pursue it. And I started Burgeon Law actually as a freelance, assignment which would just pay my bills while I figured my entrepreneurship, thesis, idea, whatever. And, I really feel that, sometimes destiny has a larger role to play. A year down, I kind of realized that, we just had a pool of clients. Every person we worked with referred us to someone else. And Burgeon was the entrepreneurship journey that I was looking for. So I used my professional education and merged it with my passion towards entrepreneurship and innovation. And, when I started building the law firm and I had clarity that I want to build it, I wanted to do things a little bit differently than how I had seen lawyers approach it. Because I really think that, if you want to play in this space, you have to speak in the language of the entrepreneur. And you have to make them understand, you have to have empathy for entrepreneurship. It takes blood, sweat, and tears to build a business. If you're going to look at it as a transaction, which is how most, of the art fraternity, unfortunately, looks at it as, right? You will never be able to build something that is truly passionate, right? So I tried to, innovate to make it simpler for founders. We work now with founders from seed and growth stage, right? We've grown with many of them. It's been a 7-year journey. Today we are one of the most active law firms in the country that do this kind of work. But I think, with every year, I just feel more and more sure of the path one has taken.
Awesome. So we'll talk more about it, what kind of deals you are seeing. But for me, 2022 was a great year, and I am seeing a trend. And I am seeing this trend of democratization of deal flows. Before COVID, Bangalore, Delhi, Bombay dominated the deal flows to all the VCs and investors. But after the COVID, everyone is now open to meet startups from across the country. And a lot of startups from different parts of the country, starting from Indore, Hyderabad, Chennai. I myself did my first investment in Kerala. Polo, a company incubated in Cochin, and he was my ex-CIR, Jerry. So I'm seeing this big trend where entrepreneurship is moving to smaller towns. Jaipur has 2 unicorns now, right? So Brij, how do you see this trend? And how do you see it becoming a bigger trend, or you think entrepreneurship, or funding at least, will remain concentrated in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore?
Look, I think funding always follows where innovation and new businesses come in, right? And I see a huge potential now beyond the metro cities across India. And I'm not just talking about from a generic standpoint of, yes, there is always, opportunity everywhere. But I think each ecosystem should build on its own strengths, figure out what they have going for themselves, and then use it in the right way, right? So, I was thinking about it when I was coming here that, what can you guys sort of take advantage of? And there are so many things about Kerala and the ecosystem over here that, in terms of the immense talent that is there. Kerala is one of the highest per capita GDP states in India. It has a great Gini coefficient. There's a lot of very large percentage of educated population. There's a huge cross-border relationship that Kerala has with the Gulf and other countries. And these are very strong advantages for entrepreneurs over here, right? So when you're thinking of building startups from here, think about how you can build your go-to-market and your distribution that can leverage this. And we've seen this, and Jerry is a good friend of mine as well, that, how they started and essentially concentrated their initial go-to-market just in Kerala itself, right? And try to capture and get product market fit here locally. And I think that's what investors are also looking for. Investors want to see that what is your unique advantage that you're bringing in, especially in the early stages. So if you can leverage your network and if you can leverage your local ecosystem advantage, quickly get to a stage where you can showcase that there is a great product fit. And you know, the other thing that generally a lot of is talked about a little too much is that, you know, Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore startups have this advantage of capital, right? And have this advantage of local customers and ecosystem. Whereas the way I see it is that the real India is across the country, right? And it's actually the tier 2 towns where majority of the wealth is, majority of the capital is. So if you can figure out a product that provides great value for money, right? Like for Indians, it's all about value creation. That has to be there for a product to scale virally. And if you're able to figure that out in your local markets, you'll be very easily able to scale that with the next round of capital that comes in. So I think to be able to recognize that and be able to leverage it will be the key.
Awesome. So Kerala, to me, should be branded as the healthcare hub of the world. The number of healthcare professionals they given to Gulf or even to whole of India is mind-blowing, right? So given you are a foremost authority on healthcare, how do you see Kerala ecosystem benefiting from this sort of very grassroots culture that they have here? So, and maybe you can give your own insights on healthcare, how you see opportunities that startups can use.
I think the biggest advantage, you know, forever for the southern part of India has been the high literacy rate here, right? So anything and everything you do gets adopted very easily. So I think that has been the big, and we also see, you know, with the branches which we have in the southern part, they are, you know, they always do much better than probably, you know, what you see in central India or North India. So there is an advantage that if you are going to start anything, it will of course, you know, work much better, you know, because you'll always try to do pilot in your own area, region. So the chances of you succeeding in this side is much, much more. This is what I definitely believe. Right, on the opportunity side or on the challenges side, I think, see, when you start, or I'll probably say my side, when we started, it was never about, you don't start a startup to raise funds, right? You identify a problem and then you say, okay, let us see if we can do something about that problem. So in our case, when we started, you know, like I said, I chose to stay in Gurgaon. The first step for me and my other two co-founders was to prove it to ourselves, कि, you know, we can be successful in what we are doing. So, you know, we had to prove it to ourselves, we had to prove it to our friends, our family members, कि, bhai, you know, we can do something on our own and we can be successful. So that's how we started that pilot in Gurgaon. And like Brij said, you know, that pilot made us understood that, okay, we have a product market fit. So, that was the first step when our first or second clinic started to do well. Patients started to show their faith and they were starting to send us more referrals. We were able to do more surgeries. So that first leap, and we were bootstrapped, we had not raised any funds by then. So that was the first confidence booster for us that, okay, we have now proven it to at least ourselves and to our family member. And I think for everyone it is the same. The first step is always prove it to yourself. Then comes, you know, the challenges, right? Every time, sort of, you know, you do something, you are going to first fail at it. So normally, you know, we will see all the successes which have happened, but behind, I think, every successful decision, there are almost 10 or 12 failed ideas which, you know, don't come out it open.
No, it's a great sort of point that Vaibhav makes. I've seen a tendency among startups to just rush to investors and ask for 2 million, 1 million, 5 million, you know, just on some fancy product they built or idea. But most of the successful founders have not built their companies like this. They have taken pain, year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years to get to product market fit and then raise money. So it's a great way to reflect about your own fundraising strategy. Don't rush to the investors before you have validated it for you, your team, your family, your whole business idea and proposition. So I'm going to turn to Tej, with whom I have a very close relationship, but I'm going to ask him a little bit of a nasty question, right? So I was sitting in a conference of safe partners and Vijay Shekhar Sharma sitting and Sachin Bansal, they were chatting with each other, and last night Vijay sent me the tweet I did based on their conversation. I'll share it with you. And so Vijay asked Sachin, so how did you raise money? And what were you thinking when you were raising money? And Sachin said, investors only understand FOMO. They have no understanding of business. So as an investor, how would you like to react to that statement by Sachin Bansal?
I think,
and especially when you think of what has happened in 2021, 2022,
yeah,
how do we reflect back, and is he right or not?
FOMO definitely makes the investor move fast. There is no, and I think Vaibhav can subscribe to that. I mean, you know, he has raised a lot of money. But you have to create the FOMO in the right fashion. There's no, you know, it's like anything you sell. वो जैसे, you know, that famous movie Wolf of Wall Street, sell me this pen, right? Or when Roma sells her, you know, legal services. You have to, or I sell myself, or you sell your, you know, so everybody has to have that sales machine. Investors obviously working under a lot of FOMO because, you know, both he and I can tell you, before the deal will come, there will be like 5 term sheets.
That's right, yeah.
Then what are you going to do? Do you want to play the game or you want to sit out? If you are a player, you have to play. So, yes, FOMO was working, but now the FOMO is not working. I think everything is cyclical, right? And most of the time, I think it's more important that every investor has a thesis that they, you know, build and they work on, right? And that keeps evolving. Like you and I, you know, we were talking about e-commerce. Now, if somebody comes with e-commerce, we will not even say, why are you wasting my time, right? Unless there is a very differentiated proposition. So you have to, I think, cater that to, and also every investor is now, I think, Rajesh, there were 110 micro investors, you were saying, right, yesterday, Roma. So I think the pool is now becoming bigger. So for investors, they have to be even more, you know, how do I position myself? How do I position IvyCap? Why should an entrepreneur come to me? And I think there will be more thesis driven now. The investors and the entrepreneur mindset will become, you know, more aligned. Earlier when, you know, we started 2010 onwards, market was very open, right? So horizontal worked. But now it's getting specific. Now you have a lot of funds who are just focusing on fintech, who are just focusing on logistics. So I think it's going to become even more, you know, kind of verticalized.
Clearly, I think Indian market has more depth now and is also becoming very specialized. And I think we are seeing both these trends coming to the fore. So Roma, earlier in this year, I was seeing startups, every second startup founder was Web 3.0 startup, right? And they had, if you go to their LinkedIn, and they were pitching their startup to us at minimum 10 million valuation, raising million to 2 million. And when they come to us, they'll say, anyway, 500K I've got this grant from FTX or some BTX or MX. That trend is over, right?
I think that trend is over, not just for Web 3.0. I think we've seen a year of reset absolutely this year after a very bullish ride from 2020 onwards. I think I'll speak both from promoter and investor side, Rajesh. Lots of things have changed. From the investor lens, I think investors are spending a lot more time in deal evaluation and looking at it like I'll tell you, like last couple of years, we are so used to the fact that, you know, a company started and a term sheet is there before the company is getting incorporated. And that may still happen for very, very senior entrepreneurs, but that's not the growing trend anymore. I think investors are taking their time. Also, it's also because FOMO is not happening like they said, right? So not multiple investors are chasing the same company. So investors have the luxury of time. So they're spending their time with the team, with the thesis, you know, looking at scenarios where funding is not available in the future and how the founder kind of looks at it. From the promoter's lens, I think this year we've seen amongst the client pool and the people, we have close access to, people have either delayed their fundraise and said that let's go out in the market next year and increase our runway by raising bridge rounds or cutting down costs. Promoters are also getting more and more mindful of, taking money, burning it fairly quickly and expecting. I think this assumption that people had that you can quickly raise money it has changed over the last, 10, 11 months in this year, for sure. I think still there's a lot of action that's happening, right? We at Burgeon still done over 150 transactions this year. So there is action that has happened on the ground. But I think companies that have raised money are expected to prove something before money is available. That has been a big change. I also want to highlight one more thing which I was not seeing before. Investors are putting a lot of tighter surveillance on how money is utilized, how money is being spent, what are the repercussions if the promoter is involved in certain acts, right? Ecosystem is overall getting very mature, but I think that reset was required. Valuations have come down, expectations of promoters on valuations have come down in terms of multiple. I think the next 10 years we will have probably much more mature companies because of this reset, is my view.
So I want to now get into more positive thinking mindset, right? All of us. There's enough of negativity of 2022, but take the bigger picture, right? We are still the only economy in the world growing the fastest. I'm seeing across different spectrum of our economy, huge amount of digitization happening, right? In SMEs, in small merchants, in students, in Bharat, this amount of crazy digitization we've never seen, right? And then we have a massive opportunity in SaaS. India is building the software for the world, right? So people ask me, what is your thesis? I say I have two theses. India building software for the world, and the second is Bharat. We have the most number of consumers in the world, right? And see how big companies have exploited that. Jio is built around creating a platform which gives the most affordable broadband on mobile to Bharat, right? And they've proven a business model which works at scale. So there are a lot of positivities. All of you need to think 2023 as a great year for you to leapfrog. I want you to invite some questions, right? So if anyone has questions, we are ready to take a few questions. But in the meantime, I want to request Brij to give me a sense of what is his optimism for 2023. One paragraph, two paragraphs, briefly, while we take questions.
Sure. So I think one of the biggest things from a technology standpoint, the next wave that is very exciting is around AI, specifically generative AI. So if you guys have recently come across ChatGPT, the new product that was released by OpenAI, and the kind of virality and buzz that has created around the ecosystem, it has really opened the horizon in terms of what the possibilities are, and especially connecting back to, again, India in terms of bringing in that level of next wave of digitization and automation. Moving beyond just the rudimentary sort of, app-based automation that we've been able to do.
So you are excited about next wave of AI startups?
Yes, absolutely.
What's your excitement about at IvyCap and your personal excitement?
Yeah, so I've always been a consumer guy and I've done always consumer investments. I'm still excited about that. I think we have to serve a lot of
India
people.
story.
India story. I think Tier B needs a different solution. Tier B towns, Tier C towns. So there'll be more that will come up. Along with, obviously, the deep tech and the AI and the next wave. So we call it, like one of our investment is biryani by kilo. They just serve biryani, but they sell 23 crore of biryani every month.
Amazing.
And it's 65% gross margin. I mean, that business will continue to grow because
Kerala is a biryani
biryani state. Yeah.
Kerala
and
biryani.
We are investing in an eggs company. So stuff like that, consumer
you can build a Kerala biryani company and take it to the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, Huh?
So consumer, his thesis is consumer. Roma, if you were to leave your law professions behind and start a new startup, what would you do? What?
To build Rajesh, it would definitely be B2C. It would be a consumer brand.
You are a B2C.
Yeah, yeah.
And what about you, if you were to now do another startup at this time?
I think it would be in healthcare, but probably more technology oriented, right? I think post-COVID, while technology was always there in healthcare, but post-COVID it has been a real breakthrough. We've never been able to reach so many customers, or patients through technology. Doctors for the first time have adopted so much of technology. So I think that is probably the biggest thing. And I think probably 2023.
So you will do yet another healthcare startup, but even with more deep tech.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right. So consumer, regenerative, healthcare.
So actually, to add on to Dr. Vaibhav's point, so I'll give you a little bit of anecdote. When this came from our portfolio company, Medica Bazaar, they have about 20,000 clinics and 2,000 hospitals as their customers across India, right? And we were trying to build some digital automation DX product, and I was talking to the tech team on how do we integrate with hospitals, how do we improve this whole inventory management procurement process. And I came across a very interesting anecdote. I said, like, how do you integrate with hospital management systems, right, or EMR systems? And they said it's very, very difficult because India does not have even a single company that has more than 2% market share when it comes to this space, right? EMR and HMS. It's all homegrown systems, consulting company built, which are like Web 1.0, don't have any APIs. So we're still very, very early,
very early.
In this. And that's what I wanted to encourage. Like, if, new technology layers, when they come in, it provides you an opportunity to leapfrog, right? Because you can't get into a customer with just the same thing that they're already using. So that, I think, is a combination that can really come in the next few years.
I just want to add something. I think there was this migration from like Ludhiana to Gurgaon. Now I am seeing opposite migration. Wow. It is a huge trend. Like, a lot of my friends who are moving away from Gurgaon going to Chandigarh. One of my friend actually has moved very close to here, Trivandrum, and he has built a beautiful house by the lake.
Is chilling or building?
Huh?
Is chilling there or building new technology?
No, so I think that whole migration will help further prosper. Like Sahil Barua has moved to Goa, right? He's hired close to 60 top engineers who don't want to live
in Goa.
In Goa.
Delivery, Swiggy's now also moved. Shri Harsh has moved to Goa now.
He moved,
Yeah. So
Goa is probably going to become Silicon Valley, and maybe Trivandrum second one. You never know.
I think Cochin.
Coaching, yeah.
Kovalam should be the next one, right?
So, yeah, go ahead, sir.
My name is Hari Kumar. I'm a journalist. My question to you is, like, you said about democratization taking place. What about democratization of the funding sector? Of the funding sector, of the investors? Is there like a microfinancing happening in second and third tier cities? Now it is like big guys coming and investing. Is there like a Robin Hood kind of investing possible?
No, there are massive democratization happening, especially at angel levels. The seed stage, I was surprised to see there is a Raurkela angel community, right? So it is happening at that granular level. A friend of mine who now lives in Siliguri, he says 20 of us have now created a Siliguri fund, right? And we are looking to invest not just, we know that there are not enough startups in Siliguri and around. So Rajesh, can you give us some allocation into some of the things that you do, right? So there is large pool of capital residing in these towns in India, which is now extremely curious and trying to find ways to invest in startups. And I think Kerala has large pool of capital, right? You are a rich state, right? You're educated, you are rich. Consolidate that capital around you, right? So I think I've seen Chandigarh Angel Network, I'm seeing Rajasthan, I am seeing Jodhpur, I am seeing Marwadi Angel Network. Why cannot you have, Cochin Angel Network? So all these things will happen. And these are very, very positive trend. This is the start. This is the first capital that startups need. VCs will come. And also I am seeing another trend by the state governments. State governments are now creating fund of funds. First Indian government created, SIDBI, and its your funds have benefited. Now state governments are creating 100 crore, 1000 crore funds, some kind of matching grants to the funds or investing as LPs into the fund. So I think that's the way to go forward. Look, in America, if you go, California state is world's 5th largest economy, right? Some of Indian states are now that type, right? So Kerala could be that, Karnataka could be that, Maharashtra could be that, Tamil Nadu, especially southern states, right? They are countries in themselves. Your GDP is more than many countries. So your GDP is equivalent to Pakistan, perhaps, I don't know, or Bangladesh. Go ahead, please.
Just wanted to tell you that we have a Kerala Angel Network and I'm presiding it. Ajit Moopet.
Yes.
There you go.
I want to locate to Munnar
Fund of
and do
funds.
Munnar Angel Network there.
Amazing.
Yes, absolutely.
Fund of funds. No, I just wanted to also add and to all this is I think thanks to people like Vaibhav, entrepreneurs like him, and also Sachin, Vijay in their own regard. अब लोग ये नहीं कहते ये startup जो है ना ये चलेंगे नहीं. They are sustainable.
So, another thing, startups may be from big cities, but entrepreneurs are coming from small cities. Remember that. 3 names that he gave, he came from Ludhiana. Where did Vijay Shekhar come from? Aligarh. Where did Sachin Bansal come from? Another Jalandhar or Ludhiana or Chandigarh, right? So entrepreneurs are coming from small towns, but unfortunately when their companies scale, they are moving to Bangalore or Delhi or Gurgaon. But Delhi, Gurgaon, Bangalore offer worst quality of life. Their pollution, we are living in 40 AQI. I live in 400 AQI in Gurgaon and I'm dying every day, right?
100%.
Sell yourself well, right? Why is Sahil Barwa, who lived in Delhi, Gurgaon, moved his base to Goa? It's for this reason, AQI. Sell your AQI. Go ahead.
I wanted to add one more point to the question gentleman asked over here in terms of democratization of capital. Even at growth scale, it's no longer the case that only VCs and private equity funds are the capital available. There is even enough and more family offices and mid-tier corporates that are coming up, family-run businesses which are diversifying, right? Let's say they built a big business in one vertical, they want to enter new verticals, but they're willing to back entrepreneurs, put in that capital at growth stage and help sort of those companies grow to the next stage. There are individuals who have retired, let's say sold businesses outside of India, come back to India, have set up family offices. They're not really used to setting up whole fund and then be very active, but they have their network and they can bring in that capital. So it's just about sort of aggregating that, and I think that's what Rajesh was encouraging, that Kerala diaspora is so huge and it always comes back. We were having this conversation last night. How do you guys leverage that diaspora, right? When these guys come back home and they retire and they still have huge corpuses, how do we engage with them, their expertise, and help bring the next budding entrepreneurs?
Awesome. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. I think we have time for just one more question.
Rajesh, thanks engaging the audience, wearing the dhoti. Thank you. This is Biji Thomas here. I'm a co-founder of a small startup, still trying to figure out whether we are really solving a real problem or not. The question is, apart from the scalability and the economics, what do you investors typically look for in founders of company?
In founders,
Yeah.
or in the startups?
No, the founders of the startup, what do they look specifically at the founders?
Yeah, 2 investors. Give us something.
Resilience. It's one and simple. There'll be so many highs and valleys, sometimes on a single day, sometimes over months and years. The ability to build a team, to have a strong mind, to just continue on that journey day after day, knowing that you're on it 1,000th day, 3,000th day, 10,000th day, and just keep on going at it is one of the key aspects. So I specifically asked them about their journey, like when have you faced adversity? And if you have, then what came out of it?
Yeah, I'll just add to that is, I have now, I start to look for now is, can the guy or the girl run this for 10 to 15 years? Is this their life or not? Don't do it for money making. वो तो हो जाएगा in the process. But for them it is one thing. For us as investors, we have multiple things, right? So if they have that quality and I see that
resilience, 10 years.
I
I look for obsession to succeed, obsession to make it work. But I'll request one statement from both of you.
I think, like he said, one is your ability to rise, from everyday disappointments and everyday failures, because it is going to be every day, right? Probably whatever money you put in, the expectation and the result is not like that. So one is how well you can rise every day and sort of do that. Second, like Rajesh said, your hunger. How much are you obsessed? How much are you mad? How much do you actually want to succeed, right? Because if you're doing it for money, that hunger will go down in 6-8 months once you probably raise 1 or 2 rounds. So then it is beyond that, right? How much impact do you want to actually create? So I think that is the only 2 things which probably are more important from if you are a founder, basically.
If I were to add to what has already been said, I think it would be to see if the person can build an organization and be a culture builder. It takes so much more than someone who's talented, intelligent, consistent, innovative to build an organization. You have to be able to balance and you have to be able to pull people together towards your mission, which is sometimes a lot more difficult than pulling yourself every day, right? So you have to be an organization builder, right? So you have to think for more people, yeah.
So I think you heard different views, but I feel good that when we started the room, there were 25% people. When we are leaving the room, there are 75%. So I think we did say something useful.
Thank you. Thanking all the speakers.
This is your dhoti effect.